Episode 32 of the Bmoney Beastin podcast. I've been doing this a while now, and I'm getting to meet some really cool people. And I'm disappearing for some reason, but here I am. I'm here with Shai Ring. You're a senior now, right, at Blackman High School?
Yeah.
State qualifier, committed to Campbellsville University. That's in Kentucky, right? Is that in Kentucky?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was. Okay. Funny thing that I seen that when I was in high school, I went on a football visit to Campbellsville.
Yeah.
And I was like, where is this place? And I remember I couldn't take you there to save my life, but like I remember the corner of the end zone had like this guy caught a touchdown pass, and there was like a big hump, like a foot high, like in the corner of the end zone, and he stepped on it and turned like a backflip. And I was like, wow, dude. So that was my introduction to Campbellsville. But dude, I got to know, I was talking to you a little bit before we started recording, but I first learned of who you were through a giveaway we did about a year ago, I guess. Mm-hmm. And Bryson, my son, actually picked you to win, so you can thank him for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and he said, I guess you had that bag at Deep South, right?
Yeah, I had it at Deep South. I have it hanging up right now. That's my everyday bag. I use it for practice and tournaments.
That's awesome, dude. We were wrestling down there in August. And he had ran to the bathroom or something with Harrison, and they had come back and said, dude, somebody's got your bag. They got our bag. I was like, it's got to be that girl, because, you know, the other ones we sold were like in Wisconsin and wherever, and I was like, it's got to be her. But I kind of got to start following you at that point, and then, you know, we hooked up with Randall for, you know, clarification. Randall Jennings runs Ground Zero up in Tullahoma, Tennessee. And that's kind of where we're at now. I'm actually curious, though. How did you get into this? Like, at what age? Like, when did you kind of become passionate about it? Because now it seems like you're every day. This is your life, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I want to know about, like, your origin story, so to speak. Like, where did this start, and how did we get to where we are right now?
Okay, so whenever I was 8, my mom decided to put me in jiu-jitsu, and I instantly just fell in love with it. So I was training up until my sophomore year high school, and my mom was like, you should wrestle. And I was like, okay, because I knew a little bit of takedowns, a little bit of throws just from jiu-jitsu. So I started my sophomore year, and I was not good. My record was like 8-10 or something like that. But I made it to state my first year, and I went 0-2 at state. And then after that, I was like... I was really upset, so I decided to just that entire summer just wrestle. And then my junior year, I made it to state again, and I went 2-2. I was 1 match away from placing. So this summer, I think I went to like 11 or 12 tournaments. So I feel very confident about my senior year.
Dude, you know, I've always been an advocate for, and I learned this by trial and error, right? Mm-hmm. Like, bringing my son up, like I'll be the first to tell you, and I've said it on this podcast 100 times. I was not a good wrestler, all right, like at all. I was subpar at best. Like I was a good football player, but when it trained, I was good for 10 seconds, not 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of who I was. And when I put Bryson in wrestling, he was like 5, right? And I was that crazy dad that, you know, like you gave up a takedown in practice. We got to do up downs for 2 hours. You know, it was stupid, right? Looking back on it, it was probably the dumbest thing. But I've always been, there was 1 year where he was like 10 and he wrestled like 170 matches in like a year.
Wow. Yeah. That's like my little sister does.
Dude, if I can give any advice, don't do that. Just don't do it. At the end of that year, he had beaten. We live in North Georgia, right below Chattanooga is where we're at. And in Georgia, they had this thing called the Battle for the Belt, and we did it one time because it was the stupidest concept in the world. You wrestle the same like 10 kids for like 8 tournaments. It was dumb. But at the end of the year, if you score enough points, they give you a belt, which I think he's got one in a closet somewhere. I don't know. But so like even if you win it, like it doesn't mean anything. It's like kind of dumb. But we wrestled all these Battle for the Belt tournaments, and I think he only lost 1 match in that whole like series. Yeah. And we go to state, Now, granted, he wrestled 170 matches from the end of October through like March, right?
Yeah.
He got upset in the semis by a kid that he had pinned like 4 times.
Oh my God.
And dude, he threw his headgear, hit this old lady in the face. Matt Pitts grabbed him up. Yeah, hit her right square in the face, dude. And she's sitting in the front row. And I know that Tennessee State, like AAU State's like at that Williamson Ag Center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we wrestled there when we were little till they kicked us out, right? But I remember we wrestled there, I think, once or twice. But then the same thing in Georgia. It's just down in Perry. It's kind of an ag center with like where horses and all that. Well, there was like the rows are only like a foot like off the floor, right? That where they start the seating. So like, dude, it was like a pitch, like right at this woman's face. And Matt Pitts, who runs Grindhouse, jerked him up and took him to the back and whatever. And I remember thinking, like, what just happened? Like, dude, we knew that you were going to win this all year. Like, what just happened? And when it was over, he comes to me and he says, Dad, he says, I wanted it to be over. I've cut weight and wrestled every weekend for 5 months, and I just don't care. Yeah. So I'm starting to believe as time goes on, there's something to be said for starting later and peaking at a later time, right? And like I interviewed Luke Carpenter on here about 2 months ago, and he didn't start till 6th grade, and he's peaking right now.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, there's something to be said for that. But everybody, especially parents, want this instant gratification, right? And sometimes it's better to not have that and have a delayed gratification, kind of like you're experiencing. And I think that that'll be like how good you are right now. You'll be 50 times that by the time you're a senior in college, right?
I hope so.
Well, I mean, you have the work. I watch it. Like I see it every day. You have that work ethic. And I think being consistent. But what I was getting at with this whole point was you were saying you went to like 15 tournaments over the summer. If you enjoy doing that, cool. Yeah. But I think there's something to be said for just consistently being in the room, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're doing that, I think, you know, competitions can be very, especially you got to make weight. You got, you know, there's a lot of points to be like checkoffs that you have to make just to get to compete. So when you're just focusing on getting better, and I think that's what the summer's for. Like if you hit a couple, cool. But like I'm kind of turning into this anti-weight cutting guy. Like as time goes on, I'm like, hey, you know, your blood sugar drops. You know, you got a lot of factors there. You're not, if you're cutting, you got guys in high school that are cutting 15 pounds. They weigh in and then they go wrestle. They're not wrestling their best. They're dead. So I'm kind of shifting my mindset a little bit on that, but that's pretty cool that you started in high school and you're going to get to wrestle in college. So that's really, really fascinating. And I'm a big fan, dude. Trust me, big fan. So you're going to Campbellsville. Do you have any idea what you're going to major in?
I want to go into nursing. I want to work in the NICU. Just because I know it's like a really hard job, but I'm the kind of person that's like, if I can save one, then that means the world to me, you know? So I kind of think of like glass half full, not half empty kind of thing.
Being positive is half the battle in life, I think. And, you know, that is a tough job though with experiences. Yeah. You're talking about babies, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, I have 2 sons. I've seen 2 children be born. And I've been in, like, I remember one thing that's really sad, and I'm not trying to sway you in any way with your career, but when my first son, when Bryson was born, he's 15 now. When he was born, this is 2009, I guess. I was 20, I think. I was a little kid, you know, having a kid. I didn't know what was going on. I was running around the hospital or whatever. Well, apparently I walked down the wrong hallway at the wrong time, and sometimes things just happen. Yeah. And apparently this woman had just given birth to a stillborn baby. And I was walking by and her and her husband, she was laying on like a one of them rolling beds, and she was kind of crying and her husband had his head down. And I just couldn't imagine as a parent that, you know, like even just as a human being. And I remember thinking, it's almost like my mindset shifted because the whole time I'm like, how am I going to take care of this human being? Right. And then as I'm walking by, it made me kind of realize it's like I get the opportunity to do that. Yeah. So you know, that's a very commendable kind of thing. Can you finish that degree at Campbellsville, or are you going to have to transfer?
I honestly have no idea. My whole thing is like, I'm going to college to wrestle. And my mom's like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, what do you mean what I want to do? I'm going to wrestle. She was like, well, you have to like do something. And I was like, I was like, I guess I'll become a nurse. And she's like, okay.
Dude, so, I mean, nurses, you know, there's things in the world, you know, and I'm talking to you like a father figure right now, right? Like I would my sons or whatever. There's jobs in the world that are needed on a daily basis, right? Teachers are needed. Granted, we need better teachers, but teachers are needed. If they paid them better, I think we'd have a better quality of teacher.
I think so too.
I think that a lot of go ahead.
I agree with that a lot. I think teachers are the most underpaid thing like in the world, because you know you have like these teachers, like they have to teach all of these like nurses, all of these doctors and stuff. And these doctors and nurses are getting paid way more than these teachers do. And I think it's insane.
Well, if you look in high schools, right? Like you're a senior in high school, so you've been in a high school building. I went to high school. The dynamics of a high school with kids, right? You got everyone from kids going in to play Pokemon at 6 a.m. to the group of kids that are walking around looking like a punk rock band to the football players to whatever, right? There's all these demographics of kids. And it really translates to the real world, right? Because we're all different in real life, right? Like I do goofy. I'll just say I do goofy shit. Like this right here, I'm wearing a Kansas Jayhawks hat right now, and it's a running joke. My uncle's 81 years old, right? And last week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was, he goes, "If they beat Colorado, we're going to be Kansas fans next week." And I said, "All right, dude, let's do it." And that night, he called me, and I was like, "Let's do that." And so I went on Fanatics, and I bought us both like Kansas Jayhawks hats.
That's crazy.
And we watched them yesterday, and they got beat like 45-17. I was like, "Dude, you picked a loser, bro. Like, if we were going to root for a new team, man, like." So, like some people, you know, people are just different, right? They do, you know, random shit and whatever. And I think that translates into a high school. So, like, teachers in high school, especially middle school age, because kids in middle school age are like all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So I think that pay gap is the reason there's so many issues, right? Like with education and things. So like there are jobs that are needed, you know, teachers and doctors and, you know, whatever that are needed. You know, you got EMTs, you know, that's something if you're hurt, you know, that everybody needs, you know, there's a lot of things, police officers. I find it bad that NIL deals, like I want to get your opinion on this in just a second, okay? You know, NIL is becoming like this huge thing, right? I just seen like Marcus Blaze, you know, he's going to get paid really well to go to Penn State. He's like the number 1 or 2 ranked kid there with Bo Bassett and Forrest. Mm-hmm. And like he's going to end up a millionaire by the time he graduates, right? Like to me, that's insane. Like, I mean, it's cool if you can make it. But you got people that like go in the military, right, and don't see their families or their kids, and they're making, you know, $40,000 a year or something.
Yeah.
And you know, like Deion Sanders' son, he's a millionaire before he's going to get drafted, and like I think it's becoming overkill, right, with this NIL thing. What's your thoughts on that? Do you know much about it, or?
I don't know much about it. Is it like you're getting like paid to play a sport, kind of like advertising, basically?
It started as like NIL stands for name, image, likeness.
Yeah.
And originally, like you're young, so I don't know if you remember this, but Johnny Manziel played at Texas A&M back in 2012, and he was like a big star, and he was overnight he become like this sensation, right? He beat Alabama at Alabama as a true freshman. Next thing you know, he's in Vegas partying with Drake and all these rappers. And, you know, he was at the Cleveland Cavaliers games with LeBron James and all this. Well, they even come out with a Netflix doc. You should check it out. It's pretty interesting. He was flying place to place and going into these hotels and signing all this merchandise. And as soon as he took a picture of it and sent it to the guy, they'd give him the safe where he can open the safe, and there'd be like $100,000 in there. Well, this was complete. He did it over and over and over and over. Well, you look at this at the time in the NCAA, he was done. Like, you can't do that, right? Granted, he found a loophole, and they made like fake tax papers or something that his parents were rich or whatever it was. Well, now he could do that all he wanted to in today's world, right? It's almost like they're having bidding wars for like the top recruits in like every sport. Yeah. Like, I just seen yesterday or day before, like Michigan, there was a kid that's committed to LSU. He's a number 1 dual threat quarterback. Michigan, they offered him $20 million to come to LSU. Michigan beat that offer. He swapped commitments to Michigan. He's going to make more money as a freshman in college than the first pick in the NFL draft, which I think is getting a little ridiculous. Just my opinion.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah.
And what if he goes up there and he tears his ACL, or he breaks his leg and he can't play? I mean, you sign a deal, I'm going to pay you. So that's money you're just burning if he doesn't work out. So I think you have a better chance of it's still a crapshoot, like in drafts and things too. Like if you look at the NFL draft or the major league draft, in the first round, you may have 5 guys that play for 10 years. The rest of them will wash out in a year or two. Mm-hmm. So and now you're doing that with high school age kids. Like, dude, I don't trust my son to take the trash out by himself. You think I'm going to give him $5 million if I had it to whatever? Dude, you're crazy. No. So Nick, so what got you interested in that kind of work? Because that's really unique. I've never had anybody tell me something like that.
So I have 9 siblings. I have 6 brothers and 3 sisters.
Wow.
Yeah. So I grew up, I'm like right in the middle. So I've gotten taken care of by my older siblings, and I've had to take care of my younger siblings. And throughout just like my whole life, I just really loved like caretaking. I guess like just taking care of my younger siblings. They mean like the world to me. So I think just being able to save someone else's brother and sister, like it's just like kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm kind of bad at words, but it's like being able to help somebody save some, I don't know. But
you got a calling for that. Yeah. Based on your life experience. And let's go to that for a minute. What's it like growing up with 9? You said 9? All right, explain the family dynamic, because you got like a Brady Bunch thing going on.
So it's a blended family. So I have some step siblings, half siblings, and I have 1 full sibling. Everybody else is half or step. But my parents, they split when I was 4. So I've basically had all these other siblings since I was like tiny. But Christmas is really fun. It's really stressful. Everybody's, it's literally insane. But it's
I can only imagine that. Yeah.
It's really fun. But it's not too bad whenever it gets too crazy. Since I'm like older now, they kind of like the little ones, they'll listen to me because I'll just like say I'll beat them up. So my little brother, he wrestles. His name's Jericho. He's way better than me. He's 10. He's so good. I don't know how he got so good.
I'm a fan, dude. That's awesome. And he wrestles for that little Blackman club.
Mm-hmm. But I beat him up here.
Oh,
I had a little bat, and I'd be throwing him. I showed him some tilts yesterday.
Dude, I'm a fan of that. Like I've only been there one time. Josh Boskin, he runs Cleveland, the girls program. Years for every summer since Bryson was 5 years old, 6 or 7 something. He stayed the summer multiple times with Josh up there training with like Noah Watkins and Dominic and whoever. And so me and Josh has always known each other and been cordial and cool. And I even had him on the podcast and whatever. He texted me one random week. It was like on a Tuesday, and he says, "Hey man, you wanna go to this duel with us up at Blackman?" I was like, "Where's Blackman?" He said, like Murfreesboro area. I was like, "Okay, yeah, we'll do it. When is it?" He goes, "Sunday." I said, "Okay, yeah, we'll go." So we went up like Saturday, stayed overnight, went to this little duel, and I'll tell you the best part of the story at the end of it. But I walked in and they had this mat that had like fire all over it, and I was like, "That is the coolest thing I've ever seen." I was like, "That is so freaking cool, man." And then I started asking people. I was like, "What is this?" Like, and the Blackman Blaze, or whatever, And And y'all got Workman up there, right? Is Workman up there?
Drew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Workman? Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I remember him when we were little. He was always a little bit ahead of us, but I remember him. He was a stud kid.
He's so good.
Dude, he's a stud, man. But I remember we went through this duel, and I was like, we get to wrestle on this mat, and I kept taking pictures of this mat. I was like, I just thought it was so cool. And Bryson got an exhibition match with Noah Watkins during that weekend. I told Josh, I was like, dude, we need a match, and he said, yeah, let's set this up. Dude, they had like a freaking war, dude. It looked like an MMA fight. And I guess at the end, and it was a close call, but like I will never say like, hey, it should have been this, whatever, dude. Mm-hmm. But Noah, it was in a like double overtime, and Noah like ducked him. And when he did, he caught himself on his fingers and tried to circle out of it, and the ref called 2. And this is before the 3-point takedowns because we're old now, right? And Bryson got so pissed. He's like, I wasn't that. Hell no. He was like cussing at the ref. He's like, no, dude. Like, and Boskin, again, this shows like a behavior of a continuous behavior of this kid. Boskin jerked him up and like told him to shut the fuck up and said it, but I remember that match actually happened on that fire mat, and I'll never forget that because I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I've never seen, you say everybody's got a tiger or a whatever. Like, that's very unique and different.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. For our duels, it gets me really hyped because for our preseason tournament, the girls are put in the Ox Gym, and we don't have the cool mats. But whenever, like, we do duels and stuff, we get to wrestle on it. It's just like that, like, home feeling, like, oh, you're in my territory. Like, this is the Inferno. You know what I mean? So
yeah, dude, they should do one, man. If it was me, I would buy into that girls program, and I would get another mat just like that and have like a pink backdrop, right?
See, I want pink in all of our stuff. And my coach is like, your school colors are not pink. We're not doing pink. And I'm like, okay.
Can you imagine? Like, I seen y'all singlets, like some clips you had posted.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you did like where it says Blaze and just put the outline in pink, like,
yes, I love pink. That's my favorite color in the whole world. So
well, girls do, right? Like, and it fits like the girls. Like, if you look at Cleveland, Boston always puts like some kind of pink in like their singlets and like whatever. And dude, he's got more girls in his youth club, I think, than maybe anybody in the country. Have you seen it's
insane.
So like, and y'all's club's growing. Tell us about that, dude. That Blackman club's growing. Tell me about that. You said your brother's in it. How many siblings you got wrestling right now?
So I have one that's wrestling right now, and then my little sister. We're like family friends, but she's a state champ. Her name's Dixie Beasley. She is, you watch her wrestle, she's the meanest little girl you've ever seen wrestle. She gets like this like look on her face, and she's like slapping herself. She shakes their hand like real hard like this, and like she's badass. But a lot of the little girls, they just started showing up, and they're like amazing. Like, they're putting in the work, and they're practicing with the boys. They're getting hard matches in, and a lot of them like the double bracket, and they'll take home like a boys and a girls bracket. And it's awesome. Like, it just overwhelms me. And they get like little pink braided into their hair. And I think it's important to keep that girly aspect in, because like female wrestlers and male wrestlers, like, we're different. Like, I'm still girly. I still I want to wear pigtails when I wrestle. And then whenever I win, go like this. So I think it's good. It's important to keep that little, like, the little sparkle of that girliness in, because like my face might be busted up and I might have a bloody nose, but at least my hair looks good. So that's my mindset. It's like, I'm gonna look beat up and raggedy, but my hair's gonna be braided and it's gonna look pretty.
That's awesome, dude. I think that it is the fastest growing sport in the country right now. Female, women's wrestling. And if I had a daughter right now, which I'm never having another kid, PSA for anybody, 2's enough, I'm good. But if I was to have a daughter right now, when she turned 4 years old, I put her on a mat, like right now. I think there's so many new opportunities that are going to, say in 10 years, right? Like, in 10 years, it'll probably be just as big or close to what the men are doing. And more colleges will start offering a women's program, because there's a lot of programs that don't offer wrestling, because they couldn't offer, because in college if you offer a sport for men, you have to have something at the same time for women, or you can't offer that sport. Well, now that's not an issue. You got a men's program, you got a women's program. Problem solved. So I think a lot of colleges that have been on the fence about having a wrestling program will start really thinking about that now. Like, hey, we can have a men's and a women's team. And I think you're right. I think it needs to have its own feel, because it's still the same sport, but men and women are different, like in general.
So differently. It's like a lot of the things, the boys, they're like more like upper body strength, and a lot of girls are more lower body. I'm kind of opposite. I work more upper body than anything. So I feel like I kind of wrestle more like a guy would. But I mean, just still, like, the flexibility is different. Like, I can't split a girl because she's just going to be doing the splits and she'll be fine with it. But if I split a guy, they're like, they just go flat because they're just giving up the back points. They're like, I don't want to do this anymore. But these girls, they're like cheerleader, become wrestlers, and they're like doing like back bends, and they're totally fine. It's insane. So
there is something to be said for, and a lot of like high level coaches talk about like gymnastics, right? Mm-hmm. And Weston Wichman, he wrestled at UTC down here in Chattanooga. And we did an episode maybe a few weeks ago. And we've texted here and there for time and time, and he had ran a couple minion practices when, Bryson was in there. So I'd seen him around or whatever. And he had the greatest outlook. He grew up at Askren Academy in Wisconsin with Ben Askren. And he told me, I asked him on here, I said, he had just had a baby. I guess his son's like 3 months old or something. Oh. And he's just a baby. Yeah. He posts videos. He had the greatest like introduction for his son on Instagram. He said he like put his camera up to his face and he said, "Yeah, man, we like showed up at this place and they told me to come back, and I came back, and then we like kind of had a baby. All right, peace." Like, he was like so cool about it. It was kind of funny. And but I asked him, I said, "Dude," I said, are you like, you wrestle at the highest level you can wrestle, Division I? Like, do you want your son to do this? He said, "Man," he said, "if my son wants to do it, cool. If he don't, cool. I'm not going to push him." He said, "I will put him in like gymnastics." He said this. I never brought it up. He said, "I think before you learn to wrestle, I think it's good for young kids to get to be able to understand their bodies, like functional movement." And that was a really unique perspective, right? Because, when you're that age, boys for sure are kind of stiff, right? Like in general, right? But girls, they're very, you don't see, that's why you don't see a lot of guys doing like back tucks and stuff like that. So I think there's something to be said for that. And you were talking about cheerleaders. Well, a cheerleader, what do they do their entire life? They run and do backflips and splits and cartwheels, and they've kind of mastered functional movement, right? And that translates so well into the sport of wrestling, whether you're wrestling. In high school, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys wrestle freestyle, right?
Folk
Are y'all wrestling folk style?
I hate it. I hate folk style with a passion.
I didn't know that. I thought girls across the board were wrestling freestyle at this point.
I wish so bad. Freestyle is my jam. Folk style, I hate top and bottom. I think it's so boring. But what's wrong with top and bottom? Well, for bottom, I can't stand up. I stand up, I get mat return. I have to do a switch, or I have to do some kind of reversal or a hip heist. Like, I don't know. I stand up, I get back, I slam back on my face, and I'm like, I hate this sport. I'm never doing this again. And then I just get up again. Then I show up the next week anyways. And then on top, I just put my boots in, and I just go for power halves or like tilts. Like, that's all I really do.
You sound like my son. That's all he does.
I learned from my little sister how to ride legs, actually.
That's awesome, dude. Steve Hamilton is the one that taught Bryson how to ride legs.
Yeah. And
I think if you have a coach that really hones in on one thing for a long period of time, you can almost master it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you know about our area, but Grindhouse has been like a staple down here in North Georgia for like ever. Matt Pitts wrestled at UTC. He was a Southern Conference champ, NCAA qualifier. Well, Steve is from Iowa. He was a 4-time All-American at Iowa State back in the 80s. Like, he's a stud human being. He used to come in and beat up high school kids like in his 50s. Like, he's a bad dude. And he spent like 6 months, like when he'd run like a couple of days a week at Grindhouse for Matt. All it was leg riding.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said for, mastering like this step to this step to this step to this step. And he did an amazing job with it. And I think if you get good at leg riding, I think, if that's a very key thing. Now, a lot of kids if they're not real good at it, they get high and maybe get dumped. And, but in general, like if you could, just keep working that because you'll get better. You told me yourself, you're like, I wasn't very good when I started. Well, here's the thing about the sport. You're never going to master it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that kids don't realize. Like, you're never going to be who you think you can be. Like, Jordan Burroughs is the greatest maybe ever, and he still gets beat.
Yeah.
So, like, that's something I want to kind of push that narrative. Like, you're always just working to be a better version of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's an interesting that you hate top and bottom because, like, I think kids are a lot different in that regard. Like my kid, like if you ask him, I'm going down, man. I'm going to stall my ass off, and then eventually I'll get out. Or, if I'm losing, I'm going to get out and I'm going to get a takedown. Like, it just determined on the situation. But if he can avoid being, even though he's really good on his feet, he's so stupid. That kid's so stupid. Like, he's good on his feet, but like, I'll tell him to go neutral and he'll just look at me like, nah, I'm going down. I'm like, man, you're lazy, bro. Like, what is this? Like, you're lazy.
Neutral is my favorite.
Yeah, dude. And that's freestyle. Are you going to be wrestling freestyle in college? Is the women in college freestyle?
Yeah.
Well, I would say this, like, I assume as soon as your high school season's over, you'll just be training freestyle from now on, right? Like, that's it. Which I think there's something to be said for that too, because, there was this debate on Flow that, that Christian, I don't remember his like Powell's or whatever his name is, the guy, what I'm talking about? He said, what if in the United States, because, this last Olympic cycle, we didn't do too hot as a country, right? In the men's. And he said, what if all these kids growing up didn't wrestle folk style, but they wrestled freestyle, like growing up? And dude, I think, because we're the only country that wrestles folk style. So maybe there's something to be said for that. Imagine a kid, and maybe I'll have to adopt me a kid one day and test this theory. I don't know. But like, imagine a kid that starts wrestling freestyle at 4 or 5 years old and does that year round and goes to these competitions that are only freestyle until he's 18. Is he going to be better at freestyle than anybody that's wrestled folk style? Is that possible? I mean, it's possible. Now, granted, you got freak athletes that can,
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said for that. I really look forward to seeing you compete and seeing your videos and things next year. I think you're going to do really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing your progression. And I'll send you a message from time to time too, like how's school going? How's the NICU? How's all that? Because and when you do that, promise me you'll post a reel of like something where you're like job shadowing.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be so. Everybody gets so wrapped up in the sport, right? Because we're all wrapped up in the sport, but life is bigger than that, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much more. So you're going to grow up, you're going to graduate, you're going to go to college, you're going to wrestle, and you're going to be a nurse. What do you want to do beyond that? What does Shai like to do outside of wrestling and nursing and school?
Play Xbox. and I read a lot. I love to read, but I play Xbox a lot. That's really, I don't have a life. Like, if I hang out with my friends, it's to go eat like Wingstop whenever I'm not like supposed to be making weight. I like food and Xbox and reading.
Dude, that's a straight winner right there. Yeah. What do you play on Xbox?
What do I play?
Yeah. What do you like?
So right now I'm running back all the Black Ops zombies right now. So I've been playing Black Ops 3 right now on the zombies, and I want to get the Black Ops 6 because I heard it was kind of good, but then I heard people say it was trash. So I'm debating on if I'm even going to install it. But
Bryson loved it, if that helps.
It's good?
He said it was great. I don't play Call of Duty, but he said it was awesome.
I've been playing, my little siblings made me play Fortnite with them, but yeah, really, I'll play like the Naruto games, the Dragon Ball games, stuff like that.
That's so you actually like what is that called? Like, what's the cartoon art?
Anime.
So you kind of into that, right?
Yeah, I'm a nerd. It's bad.
So you should love what we're building behind me, right?
Yeah, that's dope. I really like that.
Do you even know what we're doing? I know
Yeah.
you've probably seen me post about it, but do you actually know what we're trying to do?
I know y'all like make stuff like bags and stuff like that, and the
But
little
you don't
car.
know about this?
Sorry, I have to. My forehead looks big. I'm trying to see.
Like behind me, you don't see the characters. You don't know anything about that? Dude, I must be doing really bad at this Instagram thing. Uh, we you'll find this fascinating then. About a year ago, our first character was the green guy behind me, MB.
Yeah.
We called him Matt Beast, and he was just going to be our face of everything, right? We needed like a face. And then we just kind of kept building them, and another one and another one. It's like, what the hell are we going to do with these guys? Like, this is cool, and eventually me and Bryson and my younger son, Zachary, sat on the floor with cut up pieces of paper for 6 months, and we built a completely playable 1v1 wrestling card game. Mm-hmm. And then we had the artwork done, and we sent it to production, and now we're wave 2. That was wave 1. We still have limited amounts left, and then we just put wave 2 into production about 3 days ago. We're building wrestling Pokemon, folk style wrestling Pokemon. That's
really cool.
And if you'd asked me when I was like 16, you going to do this one day? I'd be like, hell no. What are you talking about? It's crazy how, and I'll tell you, when you get older, you'll look back and you'll be like, I never thought I'd have done this or done this or done this. So I'm really excited about it. It's pretty cool. Like, I'll show you real quick, and I'm not giving myself a PSA or anything, or I'm just showing you. I hate this camera. My other camera, dude, it's not wanting to work for me. There we go. My other camera, for some reason, just quit. I bought a new one, and it quit working after like 3 days. But so I'm using this new one. But this Mat Clash, 55 cards in the set. There's 2 specialty cards in it that you can play. It's really cool. And on the back, the game rules we put on a scan code that you can just kind of scan. So that's what we're building now. That's what I'm building Bmoney Beastin around, is this card game. And like eventually I'm going to start doing giveaways with like new singlets and stuff. Yeah. And we're going to do a collage, I think, singlet with like all the characters, make it real colorful and cool, So like, that'd be really cool. So I really dig like with the anime thing and all that. I kind of grew up, I like comic books.
Yeah.
And, everybody likes Batman and Spider-Man and like all that. And my favorite comic book character back in the day was kind of a random one. I always liked Spawn. Do you remember Spawn? Did you ever see that? Apparently Spawn was like an FBI agent, and he got blown up and he went to hell, right? Which is a brutal story to start with. But he comes back and he's got like this awesome like mask and this suit and like a cape, and he could shoot chains and like all this stuff. And I was like, dude, this is the coolest guy in the world. And then they made a movie about it like in the mid 90s. And he had like these machine guns, and it was like super cool. So, dude, I'm right there with you. I'm a big nerd myself, and that's kind of how I kind of fell into it. There's nothing wrong with that. I play PS5 though. I absolutely hate the Xbox controllers. They're too big. Tell me what do you think?
I've only ever played Xbox. I was never a PlayStation kid, but so I'm just used to them. Where are my control? I don't even know where my controllers are right now. Oh, there's one behind me somewhere. But I have like a pink one, I have a red one, and I think they're pretty, so I like them. But they are
sizing wise, you don't have any trouble sizing wise, like trying to.
I think I'm just like, I just grew up playing it, so I've never thought about it, I guess.
We played the college football 25 on Bryson's Xbox One, and dude, he kicked my ass, right? Then we played on PS5, and I got him to rage quit in the 3rd quarter.
I rage quit. I'm not even gonna lie.
Like, he beat me like 45-0 on Xbox. I couldn't get a first down. Like, I was about to rage quit, and I finished the game, and I shook his hand like a man. And I said, all right, now we're going to play on PlayStation. So we come downstairs, and we played on the PlayStation. And, dude, I waxed his ass. And to me, it was the controller, right? I didn't understand the buttons on Xbox where I had it kind of down. And I think that goes either way, right? Like, you grew up with Xbox. But yeah, I always felt they were just so big and bulky. Like, I had the original. I'm so old now. I had the original Xbox, and back then the thing, dude, it had to be. It was they were almost a foot wide. They were huge, right?
Yeah.
And I struggled even back then with the original Xbox, and I just kind of shifted away. But I think Xbox has got their followers, and you're in that army, so that's cool. So I'm really proud of you, man. I think you got a bright future. I didn't know that you had 900 siblings, which I think, for you said Christmas, that's super cool that you have like this big family dynamic. I was an only child, right?
Yeah.
So I have no idea what it's like to have all those brothers and sisters. And like my two boys fight like to the death almost daily.
Yeah.
So like I can't even comprehend how to. If I had 9 kids, I would like tie their wrists together so I didn't lose one. Like I can, God bless your parents, because like I don't know how they do it. But I want to keep track of little man, of Jericho.
Yes.
Right? I'm gonna start. Does he have an Instagram yet, or is he too young for that?
My mom runs it, but
I'll look him up. What's his last name? Same last name?
His is Sharon, Shearon.
Here, we're gonna do this live on the podcast. Let me look up your brother here. All right, Jericho, Jericho.
Yes.
And then Shearon. Sharon. Let's see.
I think his user, it might be like Jericho's World or something like that.
Jericho's World. Let's try that one. All right, he follows you though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm gonna find him this way. Jericho, because that sounds like a stud, man. I'd love to. I'm a fan.
Get him on here. He's funny.
I would absolutely love to, dude. Like I'm all about promoting people.
Yeah.
That's it. Like I want people to, especially people that work hard and, maybe don't get the I'm not finding him. Jericho. I don't know. When we get off, send me his Instagram and I'll follow him and we'll set it up where I can talk to him too. I'm all about caring about people that, like I think I relate more to like yourself and like Luke and like the kids that started later, that everything wasn't handed to them, because I was that person, right? And I relate to that demographic of people, and I want to see everybody succeed. I'm not the type of person that I'm emotionally involved for this kid or this kid or this kid. I want everybody to do well, and I enjoy talking to coaches and wrestlers and, people and learning different ways of maybe maneuvering through things and, how they did things and how they become successful and pass that along to somebody else. Right. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, this is a short period of your life. Right. And when it's over, you got something to look back on. Yeah, I did that. And then you got something you can pass on to your kids. Right.
Yeah.
And one day you'll be able to maybe you'll have a daughter and you can put the pink in her hair and you can put her on a mat. And, at that point in time in your life, you're going to look back and say, man, I'm so glad I did that because I'm passing this to my kid. And at the end of the day, your family is all that matters. Right. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this podcast, is just try to talk to people, inspire people, learn their stories. I just think it's a great thing, and it's something that we can share and promote. And, I'm going to blast clips out with you today and, and kind of promote you like, hey, go follow her, man. She's awesome, So like, I have fun with that. I enjoy it. And, I enjoy what we're building here. And so, yeah, I definitely want to talk to Jericho. I think that's awesome. His name. That's a cool name too, Jericho, whoever came up with that. So, dude, when do you wrestle again?
Next weekend, I think in Knoxville. Maybe I think. Let me look at my calendar. It's right next to me. I'm pretty sure. Friday, Knoxville Catholic Invitational.
Okay. Are you cutting a lot of weight?
My coaches, they pick our weight classes for us, which I absolutely despise. They know I hate it. I've told them so many times. I'm like, I weigh like 128 right now, and I can either go 26 or 32, but they really want me. One of my coaches wants me to go 32. The other one doesn't really care where I go. She's like, as long as you're healthy. So, I mean, for duels, I'll wrestle up. If I have to go 145, I'll wrestle up just to fill our lineup. But like for individual tournaments, regional, state, like I want to be 26.
I mean, that's easy. 2 pounds is easy.
That's what I try to say, but if I'm 127 one day and 126 the next, they think I'm like starving myself. So, but I just sleep it off.
You do realize, like, all right, tell your coach to send me a message, and I will explain to them how weight fluctuates. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Dude.
like one of them has wrestled. She was like 116, cutting down to 103. She was the first female in Tennessee to ever qualify for boys state. Mm-hmm. So she knows how to cut weight. The other one is a jiu-jitsu girl, but she knows how to wrestle just from like jiu-jitsu stuff. And her son is a state champion. So they know, they think that I'm going to like be obsessed about it and like freak out about it. But I mean, I have a great relationship with food. I normally eat healthy anyways. So if anything, I cut water weight and then I still eat the same amount because I don't want to like be weak, but I'll just drink like some Pedialyte right before and I'm all good. So,
dude, like I don't, and maybe, and I'm not saying this is a stereotype, but maybe, there's a history of women and young girls with like eating disorders.
Yeah, that's like, they really just want us to be healthy and like worry about our mental health. I see where they're coming from. They only want what's like best for us, but for me, it's my senior year and I'm like, I'm not going on 32. I can't. It's just it doesn't make much sense to me to wrestle at 4 pounds when I can cut 2.
Well, I mean, 2 pounds realistically, like if you went to I'm just making this up. You can get 2 pounds off in 30 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, realistically, like I've only seen this, up close because of Bryson. I never cut weight when I was coming up, the little bit I did, but I was a bigger guy. Like I'm 6'2", 260 as a 36-year-old, right? But like I've watched him like cut 10, 12, 15 pounds over like 3 or 4 days. And like I watched him go into like him and Billy Hamilton. If you don't know him yet, you will. He's a stud kid, man. He's from down here, Billy Hamilton. Look him up, follow him. He's the best. He's quirky, but remember I said Steve from Iowa? That's his son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a stud, man. They went into this jiu-jitsu gym before Deep South, and both of them were still like 5 pounds over. We had to weigh in the next day, and they were getting. I guess Bryson didn't take very long, but Billy was like struggling, and this sauna weight was like 210 degrees or something. It was hot. And he would get in there for like 10 minutes and like sit, and then he'd run downstairs and get on the bike, and then he'd go back in for 10 minutes. We were there under an hour, and he was like a pound over, and then we drove down and made weight. So like that was an extreme quick case, but in general, 2 pounds is very simple. You could be on a bike for 30 minutes and cut 2 pounds,
I stay very hydrated. I have my Stanley, and I drink it. It's like a 40-ounce Stanley, and I drink 2 full ones a day. So I try to stay as hydrated as possible. So whenever it's time for me to cut water weight, like I'm already like, it's literally just water. Like I can still eat my grilled chicken, my Brussels sprouts, a little bit of cheese, and then I just go sit in a really hot bath for like 10 minutes and I'm on weight.
Dude, that's easy. Yeah, that's easy, dude. Like, and I think there's this stigma. Remember I said earlier that I'm kind of anti-weight cutting though?
Yeah.
I don't consider 2 pounds weight cutting, right?
I don't either.
No.
Above 5 pounds is where I kind of draw the line, just because I am still like, technically I'm done growing, but I'm still like a child in the sense of like my brain isn't done developing, and I don't want to like, hurt in any way. The most amount of weight I've cut in a day was 8 pounds, and that's because I ate a whole entire thing of ice cream before, and I thought going to be okay, and I was not. It wasn't like a small tub, like it was like the big, like it has like the chocolate in the middle and the vanilla and the strawberry, and I ate the whole thing.
Like the bucket?
Yeah.
You ate the whole bucket?
Yeah.
Dude, I think that should go in the Guinness Book of World Records. Has anybody ate the whole bucket before? Is that a thing?
I threw up, but
I bet. Dude. That's actually pretty impressive, though. I would put that on my resume.
I
Like
think
I would put that on my resume. Ate the entire bucket of Neapolitan ice cream. That's good. That's awesome, dude.
it was
But
fun. Very good. I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I was like, I couldn't sleep. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to eat this. And I had a tournament in like 3 days. I was like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And I was like, crap. Because it was satellite weigh-ins. So I had to weigh in the day before. So I had to like literally cut 8 pounds in one day and I was dying.
you know what's crazy though is those satellite weigh-ins. I hate that. Have you ever experienced that with, people lie on satellite weigh-ins?
Yeah.
And dude, I'm not a fan of that either. Like when I said I'm anti-weight cutting, I'm with you. 5 to 7 pounds, is probably the max. And then you got satellite weigh-ins. Certain clubs do it more than others. And I think there is a lot of coaches that wouldn't do that because it's just unethical.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot that would. Like I have only one story from this, but we wrestled a kid one time at the, Bradley Central used to do that Keller freestyle tournament.
Yeah.
And Alabama brought some kids. And Bryson weighed like 85 pounds at the time, right? And we weighed in at 85 pounds, like that morning, like 84.6 or something. And the kid from Alabama he wrestled did the satellite weigh-in.
So he was like 95 pounds. He was like 95.
He was 108.
Holy. Oh my God.
We didn't know it. Like he wrestled him tough. He just couldn't throw him or anything. He was too big. And we were pissed, and even like Matt Pitt said, he's like, there's no way that kid weighs 85 pounds. I said, I know, dude, this is bullshit. I said, and Bryson's like, dude, can I beat him? I said, I don't know, go wrestle. So he went out, and he was leading in both Greco and freestyle, but he just couldn't turn him. He just couldn't do anything. And the next week, Blackman, it was that one up at Blackman that you do like the 3 styles or whatever.
Yeah, our Ironman.
Yeah, he did that one a few years back too. That was pretty cool. It lasted too long though. It was like 14, 16 hours.
Oh, I know. I had to work the boys. I was dying.
Yeah.
And then I had to wrestle the next day. I was like, I hate this.
Brutal, dude. Brutal.
Terrible.
That kid, they made him weigh in, right? And it was on track. And I seen the next week he weighed in at 108. And I was like, that's like 20-something pounds difference. Like, how does that make you feel good that you beat a kid that you're like 20-something pounds heavier than? Like, come on. But they acted like they won the Super Bowl. And I'm like, So my opinion on satellite weigh-ins, that should never be a thing, like at all, unless they like live stream it from each location and everybody sees kids stepping on a scale.
I like the ones where everybody you have like an official weigh-in, but everybody just weighs in the day before. Is that still satellite weigh-ins?
Technically, but if I think like the top 100s, right? Did you ever wrestle in the top 100s you were in high school when you started, right? Okay. The top 100s in Tennessee, now they're like K8, right? The K8.
Yeah.
They have like 3 of them or whatever. We only wrestled we wrestled in Pigeon Forge once, I think, but we only ever did the one in Chattanooga.
Yeah.
And they did like the satellite deal where they all had to wait till a specific time. Like, I think it was like, say it opened at like 7, right? So across the state, like I'm an hour ahead of you. So if we're starting at 7 my time, it's, 6 o'clock your time, right? But at the exact same point in time, wherever it was across the state, is when they let kids start weighing in, right? And I guess as they did it, they would input it like into the computer, right? Like they weighed in through track. I can see that. That always went pretty smooth. But in general, where it's like the buddy honor system, nah, dude, that's not good for anybody. And kids could get hurt, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm against that. But back to what you were saying about just weighing in and whatever. I think mat side weigh-ins would be the healthiest answer to wrestling, especially because high school technically kind of does that anyway, right? You step on a scale and you got an hour and then you wrestle basically. Mm-hmm. Imagine if your lineup's built, right? And he steps out and weighs in, and then the other guy steps on the scale and weighs in. And say they got a singlet and their shoes on or headgear, whatever. You give them 3 pounds or whatever for whatever they're wearing. a give or take. You step on the scale, you go wrestle the match within like a couple of minutes. Mm-hmm. You're deterring kids from cutting this 15 or 20 pounds all year. And something you said that was very interesting is like your brain's still developing. And that's true. Your brain is still developing. So is cutting a bunch of weight to win a tournament really worth your long-term health? And I don't think that it is.
Mm-mm. I mean, most of the times whenever you cut, your strength is down. If cutting that much, your strength is down, you're dehydrated, you're tired, you're just worn out. So you're not even, the chances of you winning is just less if you were just to wrestle up a couple weight classes. Because, I mean, your strength is gone. I mean, you might have all this technique, but your brain's so tired, you just want it to be over with. Like you said about, I think you said your son was wrestling and he just wanted to get over with. It's like the same thing like that. Like, I just cut weight, I made weight, and now it's like, no, I'm just exhausted. So
I'm done. Yeah.
Insane.
I understand it for like Super 32 and like
in Fargo. Yes.
Yes. And things like that. But I understand it in the sense of, I don't like if you weigh in, then like Fargo, you weigh in like twice. I think if you keep going, you have to weigh in again. I believe, I don't know, but like Super 32, you'd weigh in on like Friday and that carries you through the weekend or whatever, Thursday. And
I like those ones,
dude. That works because if the weight cutting wasn't a thing in the wrestling community, but it always has been, right? Like if it wasn't a thing, I don't think it'd be as big a deal. But across the country, you got different philosophies on it, right? You got this coach over here in this state. Well, you weigh. I'm just making this up. You weigh 118. You can make 100, right? You can make 100, right? And you got these extreme cases. So everybody else knows, okay, I know I got to get down, right? Or I'm going to be super small. Mm-hmm. So, but the key in that is that once you weigh in, you can hydrate, you sleep, you heal when you sleep. So I think the recovery time is a good thing, right? Yeah. But in high school season, middle school season, where, you weigh in, you wrestle, when Bryson, he's suspended right now. I've talked about it on the podcast. I'll bring it up. Actually, it's something good that I can share with you. Middle school, right? Like he always bumped up a weight. It's like whatever. Like if he weighed, like they tried to push him to stay at 100 last year, and he's like, okay, I'll do it just till the end of this. But he was like 105, but he'd sweat it off in the weight room and then go weigh in or whatever. But he's like, he kept arguing with him, just let me wrestle 115. And they're like, nah, we got our lineup, which it worked out for him. They won the league or whatever. I don't know. But like high school, he had planned to wrestle 13 all year, right? That was his goal. He's a freshman. And he weighed before he got in trouble. And I'll tell you about this because I'm doing a PSA at this point. He weighed like 123. And I said, dude, why are you going to cut 10 pounds and weigh in? Huh?
Just go 20.
That's what I told him. Yeah, I said, I would just wrestle 120. And, if it gets down to, at state where it's like 118, maybe you go down that way or something. But, like, that's stupid. And he's like, yeah, I still want to go 13. Because he wrestled 13 at Deep South. He did really well before he was even an eighth grader, before he was even in high school. And he's like, well, that's my weight. And I was like, I don't know. But fast forward, I'm doing a PSA here. I don't know if he wants me to talk about this, but I'm going to see him today at 3:00. He's been in some trouble. I know it's in every high school. Vapes and THC vapes are a horrible, horrible thing. And I know that kids want to fit in or whatever it may be, but I'm making a PSA here. And I had told him last week, I said, dude, you need –
Sorry.
You're good. When everything settles down for you, you need to really own this and pass this along to other kids. So I don't think he's going to be mad at me for talking about it. But Bryson got popped with a THC vape 3 weeks before wrestling season started.
Oh, that's terrible timing.
And they come out with this grappler list for Georgia. He was on it for one of the top freshmen. We were looking at like the scope of like 2A in Georgia, and we felt really confident about how he'd do this year. And he got suspended for the entire season.
So he can't wrestle?
This year, he can't.
Oh my God.
He's been going into. We were supposed to go to Tulsa, and I'll get to this part of the story. And you're the first person that knows this, so feel special. But I'm saying this because you are a kid in high school, and I just want kids at your age that'll see this to your friends and things that it's a bigger deal than it appears in the moment, right?
Yeah.
And maybe this story will help somebody else, and that's why I'm passing it along and being public about it. And I haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah.
He gets suspended. And I fought the county for weeks, like just let him come back in January. Because all I was wanting him to do was have something to look forward to. And if he come back in January, he could do like, area sectionals and state, right? And that was really all he cared about anyway. Mm-hmm. So I fought it and fought it and fought it. Well, he got popped on a drug test with his probation officer. And he got put on probation for having a THC vape last year. And the one last year was actually his brother's that his brother gave him. It was like, here, hold this. And he got in trouble for it. And he has been sitting in the RYDC jail for the past 10 days.
Oh, wow. Over
a THC vape. And I just want to make this, he doesn't get out till the 11th. He's going to be in jail for 21 days for a THC vape. And the reason I'm saying this publicly is because I want kids to hear this, that it's not okay. It's not cool. Like, it's just not. It's something that you might be peer pressured into things, and it can literally ruin your life. And apparently I didn't know this, and I'm giving an education to somebody younger than me that's seeing this day to day, because that wasn't a thing when I was in high school, right? I didn't even know what it was. These things are considered a Schedule I substance. So you would get like in your age, you're what, 17? Mm-hmm. Okay. If you were in the state of Georgia, you would be charged as an adult. In Tennessee, you're an adult at 18. Yeah. So at the age of 18, I don't know the laws in Tennessee, but in Georgia, at 17, that THC vape carries a 1 to 5 year prison sentence. Really? 1 to 5 year prison. I didn't know any of this until all this went down, and I got a big education in this. And I think it's good to pass along to kids, right? Like, this can ruin your life. And the like you see them in gas stations and stuff, right? Like they sell them at these gas stations. I was told there's some kind of law, like a Fair Trade Act law or something, from what the cop was telling me. They can't stop them from selling them. But as soon as you walk out the door with them, they can arrest you and give you a prison term.
Really?
Really. So luckily, Bryson's a minor, and he got charged as a minor, and we got a lawyer, and he luckily didn't get. They originally gave him that charge he would have sat in there for a long time, and they finally dropped it and said it was a tobacco whatever instead of a drug. But he had to sit in jail, part of the deal. And, I don't know what comes out of this. I hope that it rebounds for him and he gets back in the room and he gets his life back in order. But I also, at the end of the day, I'm more passionate now. I've been a recovered drug addict for almost 14 years. Yeah. And that's well, it's not been easy, but I've done it, and I'm thankful to God. Like, I believe in God, and I'm thankful. And I just really, I think at every episode of this podcast moving forward, I just want to let people know that things that you wouldn't think about, especially young people, that you wouldn't think about, that is simple or cool in the moment, can really change the trajectory of your life, and not for the better always, And so just, I'll post this clip too. And I want, share with your friends, let them know what I told you, because this could really, and I know you see it every day in school. Kids have them. It's just what it is. It's turning into this pandemic. And I feel like that certain people become like an addictive personality type thing.
Yeah, I think that's how wrestling really changed my life. Because, my freshman year, I had a similar incident. I didn't get caught with anything, but I was smoking the vape, and I was doing the weed pens, all of that, THC and stuff. And then I started wrestling, and I was like, I can't breathe whenever I'm wrestling. I was like, I can't. And then if I happen to get caught, I was like, then I can't wrestle no more. I'm like, what am I going to do if I can't wrestle? My life's over. So it kind of just like, it really changed my life for the better. It really did. And I'm like 1,000% grateful for wrestling, because I mean, just I'd probably get like lung cancer if I was like, I don't know,
Yeah.
because cancer for one already runs in my family, and it's like a vape is literally like, you see those people smoking like cigarettes, like packs and packs a day, and you're like, that's gross. But then you see someone with a vape, and you're like, oh, it's just a vape. It's literally the same thing. They just smell different.
I think it's worse.
Yeah.
And cigarettes, I'm glad we're talking about this, and thank you for being so open on that. That's amazing, because you're the shining example of what I hope happens for more kids. And that's what this brand is. Like, I want kids to succeed and have successful lives. Like, that's all I care about. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and get rich. Like, I'm trying to pass a message. And this is now part of my message. It hit really close to home, and I didn't expect it. Right. But I see that, if wrestling for you completely got you on a good track, God bless you for that. And I'm super proud of you. And I'm glad that, you've seen that as a deterrent. In our situation, in Bryson's situation, and I don't know if he's going to be mad at me for talking about this. I hope not. He's very on the fence about it. I talk to him every day about, and one day he's like, yeah, I need to get back in church. I need to get my life together. And then the
that's
next day,
going to church, like, that really turned me around. My freshman year, I wasn't a believer. My sophomore year, I was kind of on the fence about it. But that summer going into my junior year, I just like, something kind of clicked. I was at church one day, and I was just like, I just felt like the Holy Spirit. And I was like, I need to, like, this is like amazing. Like, I need to go all the time. And then I started reading my Bible, and things started getting a lot better for me. I started like being happier. I was enjoying my life more. I wanted to actually go outside and not like sit up in my room all day. And besides playing Xbox, because I do sit in my room all day playing Xbox.
Yeah.
But it made me like really like actually love myself and love life. And then I got baptized, and that was like the best day of my life. And it's been really good since then. I mean, I still have my crappy days, but I mean, just reading your Bible, and I don't want to like, hey guys, on the podcast, I'm not trying to like make this into like a whole Bible thing.
No, you tell, no, like, if they don't like it, they can kiss your ass. You tell us what you're saying here.
But yeah, I mean, just even if you're not a believer, I think it's smart to just you don't even have to read the Bible. Like, there's like Jesus calling books, there's like daily affirmations with like one like verse on it. Like, those are really helpful as well. Because sometimes I don't feel like I don't have time to sit down and read my Bible, so I'll just pick up that book, and it'll have like a day and what to read.
And even people throughout my life, I've had a hard time at times, with God, right? Like, and I think that happens for everybody, right? And I think, like, I remember, when you go through your darkest times of your life, you tend to like, why, God, right? Like, that's what you tend to kind of think as a human being. And it's not that you're not going to ever have hard times, right? Because everybody does. I feel like even if you don't believe in God, and, that's my perspective, I do, and obviously you do. But there's people that don't, and, okay. But the basically the way you live your life based on Christianity, if you just stick to those principles, you're going to have a better life.
And you're going to be a good person. Like, there's just, even hypothetically, if you're not a Christian, but you decided to live by like I don't know how I'm trying to put this. If you decided to live by like the morals of it, like, you're going to be more successful in life. You're going to be just successful in pretty much everything you do. But my thing is like the having the relationship with God in general is really like what makes you want to be more like him. Because I'm sitting here, and I was like vaping, and I was like this, like, I just know I'm disappointing the one person that will love me unconditionally no matter what I do, and will always want me no matter how terrible something I do. And like, then I'm just like, I don't want to upset that one person that I love so dearly, and like that. It's just an unconditional, like overwhelming feel of love that like you don't get from anywhere else. And whenever you're going through like those bad times, I feel like I'm preaching right now, but whenever you're going through like hard times and stuff, like you got to think of like God's not putting you through that. Think of what all the good that God's put you through, like the things that he's helped you get through and stuff. Like he's not going to make everything go away. He's going to help you get through things. And I think that's the thing that people don't really understand, is that just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean like I'm not going to get to a car wreck or this. It's like you're going to get to a car wreck because you suck at driving. And then you're going to, which true story just happened to me like last week, but then you're going to.
You're okay though, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Me in this car. Oh, it's a long story, but it was a small wreck. But yeah, God will just definitely, he's not going to make it go away, but he's going to make it easier to get through. You know, he's going to like support you even if you don't feel it. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I love it, dude. Cause you know, like you said, the morals, and I just said principles, same difference. Like, I think that, you know, living, you know, like there's basic things in life that I've always felt like are big, right? You shouldn't steal from people. You shouldn't lie. You shouldn't, you know, they're just basic, you know, moral compass type things. And I feel like that, you know, even if you're not a Christian or, you know, believe in God or whatever, I feel like that if you live by that principles, those morals that's based on, you're going to, like you said, you're going to be a better person and thrive in a better way. I feel like people feel like, well, if I'm a Christian now, I should be a millionaire and I should have this and I, you know, and that's just not how it works. But I'm living proof that I went from a heroin addict in 2011 to, what is this, 2024? We're on year 4 of Bmoney Beastin. I run a school full time. I'm blessed. I have food and a place to live. And, you know, I shouldn't be here right now, like at all. Like I should be in prison probably. Like, you know, like things I did years ago. I mean, I wasn't violent or anything like that, but people who do drugs end up in jail, right? Yeah. So by the grace of God, I was spared that because I had a bigger purpose here apparently. And I'm trying to use that for as much positive as I can. And I love that you brought that up. And I love that you were so open about the THC vape thing. Thank you for that. I'm a real advocate now. You will see me post regularly about don't do drugs.
Yeah.
That is now part of the Bmoney Beastin brand. I really want to try to save kids the heartbreak. Because, man, at the end of the day, the 30 minutes, hour, whatever you get off of that is not worth the results of what happens because of it. It's just not worth it in the long run, right? And you have a much bigger purpose than that. And, you know, you have to – I want to try to help people realize, because I lived it, right? Like, it's always a temporary fix. Like it's like a Band-Aid, right? It's never going to fix the problem, whatever the problem may be. And most people who do that, whether it be from peer pressure, because that happens a lot, whether it be from trying to cover up, being upset about something, whatever, there's always an underlying root problem there. Yeah. People don't just do that or use drugs to just use drugs. There's usually a reason behind it. So whatever that is, it's still just a Band-Aid. Yeah. So and maybe we can use wrestling as a springboard, kind of like you did, to, hey, this is how it's going to keep me out of trouble, off drugs, clean and happy. And it's worked out well. You're going to wrestling college. You have a real good relationship with your family and your church and your friends, and it's amazing, dude. And you're a great story too. That's a great turnaround. And I'm saying this as a former addict myself. I'm very proud of you for that. That is amazing. To close this up, we've had a great conversation here. Yeah. To close this up, I want you to tell me your goals for the rest of this year, your college goals, and I want you to tell everybody that'll see this how they can follow you, you know, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you have.
Okay. So for this season, my goal is, I have a lot of team goals. I want to win regional duels, and I want to win sectional duels and make it to state with my team. And then I want to win individual regionals, and I want to place top 3 at state. I would love to win state. I want to be in the finals is really my goal. Just getting to the finals is where I want to be at. And for college, I want an All-American at least once. So I'm going to have to work extremely hard. And just like life goals and stuff, I do want to eventually come back to Blackman and coach the youth girls.
That is awesome. Dude, props. Go save them babies during the day and coach them at night. I love it. How can people follow you?
My Instagram is shai.bjj, and then my TikTok is shai.wrestles.
Go follow her, man. Great kid, great story. More of a story than I even thought was there. Like, you know how we were talking about God real quick before I close this up. Bryson picked you as the winner for that bag. There's a reason that happened, so we could have this conversation at this point in time. And God bless you, man. I'm a big fan. If we can help you in any way or send you some merch, when we get some new singlets, I'll send you one.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, dude. A couple weeks probably we'll have a new design, but I'm definitely pushing the kind of the colorful anime look. I think that's where we're going. So,
I
can
thank you repost it and stuff on my TikTok and y'all do shoes and stuff, right?
We do. We have a small supply of the version 3s left. Actually, it's funny. We started. I'll give you a quick rundown because we started with this idea of being like a champion brand of like apparel. That's what I wanted to be. Yeah. And then I'm like, I don't like this. Okay, we're not going to do this. Then I was like, okay, we're gonna do like wrestling shoes. And we had 3 versions over the years, and we sold almost all of them. And what we didn't sell, I donated to like Beat the Streets and like underprivileged areas like up in West Virginia. And I sent some to a lady that sent them to South America and for this like wrestling program. So we've been able to give back in that way too. And then I'm like, dude, that's just not what I want this to be, which I do have a design in my head right now that it's probably going to be 2026 when I look back into that because I've done so much with this card game and I'm so invested. But I want to create a shoe that looks like a brick wall. Just hear me out real quick. And there's characters like graffitied up the side.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And I'm thinking like a light blue sole. Like I got it in my head what I want it to look like. And I think it could be super cool. And I know everybody's wanting to be, I wanted to be different, right? Everybody wanted this like clean, like, simple, like Adidas has got the 3 lines and Rudis got the little Rudis sign. I want to be like extravagant and out there and colorful. And I think that's what's going to separate us long term.
Yeah.
But we did the version 3s and they did pretty well. And then we kind of got into the card game and we kind of started doing these gear packages, right, for all these little teams and things. And so like, Ground Zero is probably the biggest one at this point. Like we've done like his girls team. Were you on that girls team?
No, I was on our Blackman team, but I loved their pink singlets, and I wanted one so bad.
Yeah, we did those. Yeah.
It was so nice.
He told me, he said that this summer I guess he's going to do something else like that. He said he wanted to keep that design. He really dug it. So, but yeah, so that's kind of how that happened. So yeah, we did do shoes. I took them off the website because what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to send half of what we only got like 40 pairs left. I think we had like hundreds. So I think I'm going to send half of them to my partner in California for his gym. He's got a jiu-jitsu gym. And then I think the other half I'm going to send to underprivileged kids throughout the year to try to help because at the end of the day, like that's what it's about, trying to keep kids on a path and, functional. And that's what I care about. So, but sweetheart, it was great hanging with you. You are awesome. I am a big fan. I look forward to seeing where you go from here, how state works out, how college works out. And win, lose, or draw, you're a winner. You turn your life around, and I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
Bmoney Beastin, episode 32. Probably my favorite one to date is in the books.